Okay, now that we have some of the state hooked up to our application, we can create our cart and actually display some of the stuff on the screen. So this is going to be quite cool. Okay, so let's make a new component. Let's head over to our components here. Let's close everything else up. New, and we're going to call this cart.js. Amazing. So we're going to export default function cart like that, and we are going to return some JSX. So we're going to have a div here. Yep, we're going to make sure to change this over to React. All right, so this is going to be our cart wrapper. And I'm going to create another div here, and you're going to see why I'm doing two. I'm gonna style them in just a bit. I'm gonna create another one. Don't kill me, I know it's 3 divs. But this essentially is gonna be our empty cart. So if there's no items in here, I'm gonna say H1, you have more shopping to do. Winky face, wink. There we go. So this is gonna be our empty cart. And let's actually import a shopping cart here to display. Oh, I'll do that after. So that's one. And let's see how I'm gonna do this. So that's one. And then in this one here, I'm gonna go at the bottom of it. We'll have our actual cards for each item. So we're gonna essentially loop over each item. So let's do a div here. And in here, I'm going to have an image. And then in here, we are going to have our card info. So I'll do another div with a H3 that says title and H3 that says price. Okay, and save that. Okay, so let's actually use our state so we can update some of this stuff. Because I do want to output all the cards here rather than one. So let's go here to the top and say import, use state context like that. And then to use it, we go here and say const cart items I want to have, set show cart, and on add as well. Use state context like that. For now, actually, we only need the cart items. Okay, so now that we have our cart items, we can loop over those. But before we do that as well, let's just display this on the screen because we cannot see anything. So we're just kind of building things out blindly. So I want to display this cart in my nav. So let's head over to our nav, import it here, import cart from /cart. Cool. So let's head over to our nav. And let's do it right here. I'm going to say cart and hit save. Okay, let's take a look now. There it is. You have more shopping to do, title, price, etc., etc. Let's style it up so it actually looks like a card that's expanding out here before we add the functionality. So for that, we will. I wonder if we should just add the styling in here. Oh, let's just make it in a new file. Let's call this cart styles. So here, new file. Cart styles.js. Cool. So let's import styled from styled components. Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is the wrapper. So export const cart wrapper is equal to a style div. And let's import this in our file. So go here, import cart wrapper from /style/cart styles. Okay, so the first one, that's going to be our wrapper. There we go. Cool. So what do we want to add here? Well, let's do, the position is going to be fixed. Right is going to be 0, left is going to be 0, height is going to be 100 VH, and width is going to be 100%. So what is this wrapper then? Well, I want the whole page to kind of darken up a little bit, you know? I want it to darken up a little bit, and then this other div is actually going to be the cart. This is kind of just a wrapper to make everything darker around it. So you're going to see it in just a second. So I just made the width 100% and height 100% on it. And I'm going to add this background of 0, 0, 0. Sorry, it's RGB A. Make sure it's RGB A 0, 0, 0, 0.4. Okay. So there we go. It doesn't work the way I want it to, because it should take up the whole screen. Okay, so I found a mistake. All we have to do is go here to our nav and actually render this out outside of nav items. It was rendered in there for some reason, so just move it down a level here. And there we go. That's our cart wrapper here. It takes up the full screen just like that. All right, so there we go. And then what I want to do is add a display flex to it. Actually, let's just keep it like that. And I'm going to say export const cart style and set this equal to a styled div. And I want the width to be like 40% with the background of F1, F1, F1. All right, hit save. All right, so let's import this as well over to our cart, comma, cart. So let's add it here as the second one. So again, one's just the wrapper that takes up the whole screen, and that's our actual shopping cart. So I want this to be nicely put here on the right side. So the way we can do that is just add a display flex here and do justify content to flex end. And that's gonna move it to that side, see? Perfect. So there we go. Now what we can do is I'll add a bit of padding to it. So I'll say padding 2 rem and 5 rem. So that's top and bottom, that's left and right. So if we look here, as you can see, cool. And then I'm gonna add an overflow of Y to scroll. So in case we have a lot of items, just make this scrollable for us here. All right, just make another scroll. And then I'm gonna add a position relative. And you're gonna see why in just a second, because we're gonna do some animations very soon. Okay, next up, let's do the cards. Export const card. It's gonna be styled div. You know, we actually cannot see anything. So temporarily, let's just do a display none on this. Okay, so let's click on this, add 2 items to the cart, and then remove this and hit save. Okay, so let's make sure we have some items in here. Let's go over to our cart, state context, and yeah, as you can see, we have some items in there. So let's add a bit of logic in here. We'll go over to our cart. And basically, I only want to display this when we have items in the cart. So what we can do is say cart items, the length. If it's bigger than 1, then add the 2 and symbols and wrap this div around it like that. Okay? So now it's not going to display because we have some items in the cart. And for this one down here, what we can do is say cart items. Let's see. Cart items the length. If this is bigger than 1, then render this out instead. Okay, so let's copy that over and wrap this div around it like that. So if it's bigger than 1, then also what I want to do here is say cart items map over each item like that, curly brackets, return, and let's return this div here like that. All right, so check it's bigger than 1, and if it's bigger than 1, then map over it, and for each item output these divs where the H tree is gonna be item.title and the price is gonna be item.price. So let's see if that works. And look at that, it does work. Lovely. Functionality hooked up. So let's replace this div now with the actual card. So let's go over to our styles and do export const card is equal to a styled div, where we do a display flex, align items center, justify content space between, border radius of 1 rem. All right, and let's take this card and render it out in here. Comma card. Let's replace this with card, just like that. There we go. And what I want to do is add the image here. So for that, very simple, we can just do the source here is gonna be item dot image dot data dot attributes dot formats dot small dot URL. So long. And the alt is gonna be item dot title. Let's see if that works. There it is. That's ginormous. What was the other format? Thumbnail? That's much better. That might actually be fine. Okay, so there we go. And then let's update this to card info. So let's make another one here. Let's also add an image here and make the width smaller. Let's do 8 rem and see how that looks like. Just a bit smaller. Let's add an overflow of hidden here, a background of white, padding of 2 rem, and a margin of 2 rem, 0 rem. Let's see how that looks. There we go, that's much nicer. That's pretty. And then let's grab the card info, add a style div. Let's make the width 50%. And the divs in here should have a display flex and flex direction of space between. All right, so let's import this in here. Take the card info, replace this like that. And there we go. That looks quite nice. And then what I want to do is also style up the empty div here. So for now, what I can do is just refresh this and it's going to get rid of it. So we can see this. So for this, I'm going to make an empty style, export const empty style. It's going to be a style div. I'm going to add a position absolute here now. So again, this is why I added a position relative to the card style, so I can position these nicely just here in the center. I'm going to add a top of 0. A left of 50%, and a transform translate of minus 50% and 0%. Let's import this as well. Go over to the cart. There we go. Empty style. So that's going to be this one. And there it is. And then let's do a display flex direction column, align item center, justify content center. This position absolute is also going to help us when we're going to do animations, and we want to keep it basically in the same position without like when other elements fade in, I want this to be on top of it basically. And then I'm just gonna add a height of 100% and a width of 100% for it to take up the full space, just like that. And let's also add an SVG in here. That would look cool. So let's do a shopping cart. So I'm gonna import FA shopping cart from React icons FA. Let's render this out on the screen. Let's do it here below it. Let's see how that looks. There it is. And let's make it much bigger. So cart styles, in the empty style, we can select the SVG. So let's do SVG and just do a font size of 10 rem, and we'll pick the color of var secondary, like that. Boom, there we go. That looks awesome. Lovely. We can separate this even more if you want to. We can grab the H1 in here. So we can do H1, font size. We can increase this a bit. Like that. That's quite cool. Then add a padding to it of 2 rem or something. There we go. That's quite cool. So that's our shopping there. All done. Let's add another item in here. So again, the trick we can do for now is just add a display none for a second here, and then add an item or two in your card. Just click on these like that, and then remove the display none. And there we go. That's where our items are. Lovely. So what we can do, maybe we can decrease the width of this to something like 30. That looks a bit nicer. Let's go back to our cart and add some more information. So here we have our card info. And in this card info, let's also add another div, which is going to be our quantity. So we can also modify the plus minuses in the cart. So if we decide to remove some of the items, we can do that here. Quantity, and we'll have 2 buttons here, which is going to be the same ones we had, the AI fill minus circle. And then we have a p tag here that's going to say item.quantity. And then another button that's going to be AI fill plus circle, like that. Cool. So now we need to import these two. So let's go to the top, import that one and this one, the minus and plus from React icons dash AI. Okay, so now it refreshed. So let's do the trick again. Card wrapper, display none. Add, remove this. There we go, look at that. We have our quantity plus minus there. It looks ugly, so let's create another style for that. Nav styles, where is it? Card styles here. Go to the bottom. This one has quite a bit, doesn't it? And we'll create a, what should we call this? Like a quantity. Yeah, like a quantity export. Let's do export const quantity. This is going to be a style div again. Let's just wrap it around, and we might just finish it in the next episode. So let's import that here. Let's drop it here and here. And another thing that I want to have at the bottom of this is going to be our button here that says checkout. But again, we're going to leave that later on. I feel like we added we added so much to this already. Oh, we have an error as well. What is it? Is this quantity that I added in here? Oh, no, never mind. It works just fine. Yeah, we'll do the styling because this is taking quite a bit of time. So let's just leave it for the next episode. So I'll see you there.